Mass production, industrialization, a mechanized economy has now largely disappeared from the rich countries, the major capitalist countries. And what is taking its place is a new economy based on new technologies, not the old mechanical technologies, but new digital technologies and the internet. And this is creating new forms of production, new labor skills, new products, and a new kind of society. I call that society the cognitive cultural capitalism. The labor force today, the top half of the labor force, is involved primarily in cognitive and cultural forms of work in a diversity of sectors, from high technology, industry, services, financial services, business services, medical services, personal services, but also culture. And culture becomes an integral part of the economy in this new kind of economy where there's a convergence between culture on the one side and the economic on the other side, so that most of the culture we consume today, for better or worse, is made in capitalistic structures of production.
Mais attention, il n'y a pas simplement la classe créative, il y a la classe qu'on pourrait appeler, et on l'appelle de plus en plus aux États-Unis, la nouvelle classe servile. C'est-à-dire la classe qui sert la moitié en haut du marché de travail. On a parlé ici, n'est-ce pas, de l'économie culturelle comme une sorte de bénédiction sans ambigu. Or, ce n'est pas clair. Ce n'est pas clair non plus pour la question de la stratification sociale qui devient de plus en plus extrême, la segmentation sociale de plus en plus extrême, avec une extrême pauvreté en bas, une extrême richesse en haut.
Well, the strategy of economic development that I favor in this new economy is a strategy of development from below. And there are a number of things that local policymakers can do. Instead of saying, we want in 20 years to be a major world financial center or a major world cinema center, a better strategy, it seems to me, is to say, we start with what we have given. We work with what we have given. We prepare the soil, the local social and economic environment from below as best we can. When we provide the social infrastructures and some financing and other public investments, and then allow many, many, many little experiments to proceed. And as these experiments proceed, what happens in the local economic development process is you get an endogenous process of development and growth where each element, each unit of the economy becomes dependent on everything else. So you build this kind of interdependence from below. In Bilbao, the Guggenheim Museum, just as a standalone event, is not going to produce major forms of economic development. And according to the things I've read recently, it has been rather limited in its impact. I mean, it's had some success as a museum, but there hasn't been a great deal of success in terms of its seeding new forms of economic and cultural development in the region. In other words, you need complementary forms of intervention in order to produce the overall process of development and growth and the formation of a local community. The simple accumulation of a group of people in one particular place is no guarantee that economic development or any other kind of development will necessarily ensue. The creativity itself is not an abstraction. Creativity doesn't flow from above down into the local milieu and then manifest itself in reality. Creativity has to be cultivated and channeled. So whatever creativity I might have is channeled within a particular discipline, in a particular social context, in a particular set of political circumstances that pose to me questions. What I'm doing is reproducing out of the social reality that we live questions and answers that have, we hope, some kind of originality, but are also part and parcel of our everyday lived life. We also need to become much more political about culture and about the culture we consume. There's a degree, especially in this age of numerical cultural production and diffusion, there's a degree of passivity, I think, that afflicts a large percentage of consumers. And that also is a negative thing. We must become much more conscious of culture as something that we consume and something that carries with it a very profound meaning, in the sense that it forms human consciousness, and in forming human consciousness forms the social and political ways in which we live our lives. And so I would argue that now more than ever is the need for a cultural politics, very explicitly.